Welcome to live action from the High Octane Sim Series. We are here at the Michigan International Speedway. This is going to be race number 2 of season 4. And we're going to be taking it down for your grid introduction here shortly. Going to show your race information here this evening. Looks like it got 67 degrees Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, winds at 14 miles per hour. And I am joined in the booth I apologize for that. I'm joined in the booth here with, I believe it's been a while. Just want to make sure I get the names right.
Well, that's not too unconventional, as many people have had issues pronouncing my name in the past, but just in case viewers at home don't recognize my voice, my name is Kynan Jones and I will be your main commentator tonight for this 130 laps at Michigan International Speedway, the 2-mile, fairly large speedway track, but the 29 of Ronald Jackson is going to be taking us into the Geico restart zone, and we are under green flag racing for season number 4, race number 2 in the High Octane Sim Series. Fairly steady start right now, going into turn number 1. Drivers just trying to get a feel for how their car is going to be able to handle. It's a long race, and with it being a bit of a smaller field, it means that any position that you leave, you're going to have a smaller percentage of points lost, but doesn't mean that every little point doesn't matter in the long run. But multiple positions being made up as some drivers go a bit more aggressive. Battle for the lead between the 52 and the 29, I believe, if my numbers are all syncing up properly, which they are. Mark Morton currently running in the lead, but only slightly. 29 having a bit of an overlap going down the front straight, but 52 running a higher line is going to be able to carry more momentum out of the corner and will be able to easily clear the 29. Jeremy Richmond in the 98 had a bit of a difficult finale season at Phoenix last season, but moving his way up into the second position, and he's going to look at maybe being able to challenge the 52 for the race win towards the end of the race, but still a long race left to go. Anything can happen. But looking down in 4th place, our season runner-up Nick Alford in the 15, not his conventional 95 that I've grown to know him in, but currently making a move on the 29, trying to hug the bottom and then drift up the track, but the 29 running a higher group, going to have momentum as well as having the help of the 19 of Matt Staton behind, but 29 driving it in really deep. Nick Alford just taking it easy, just keeping his tyres all loaded up and not trying to cause any issues, but with the 2 leaders in front, 52 and 98 going side by side across the line. Lap number 4, as it's a bit of a drag race going into turn 1. Jeremy Richmond on the inside lane taking a peek, going to have to try drive up the track and try cut off the 52's line, but going to move up now, and 52 is going to decide to switch it back down to the bottom, try pick up some of the sides of that. So side by side, just going to be able to pull out by half a car length, but with that being on the inside line, you've got to be careful not to drift up into the car on the outside of you. Starts to move up with his car being far enough ahead, and Jeremy Richmond isn't going to be able to fight back yet, but having run a little bit higher line, he's able to carry out a little bit more momentum, draws up to his rear panel, and Draws side by side going into turn 1. 52 having to just take it easy. On board right now with the 29, we can see this battle ensuing in front of us. You can see Jeremy Richmond be able to pull out into the lead and should be able to take a bit more control. You don't necessarily need to be leads fast, you just need to manage the gap and keep your tires underneath you. But looking a little bit further back in the 4th position, the 19 of Matt Stassen, looking to try and make a pass on the 29, but not close enough just yet. He's not going to be leading quite as much as the 29 is going in. Both him and the 29 get into the wall slightly, but back onto the inside. 49 making a move on Nick Alfred and is going to want to start thinking about making a move on to Matt Statten, but not close enough, and Nick Alfred's going to be able to carry enough momentum and clear the 49 for now. 49's going to drive it in to the corner deep, trying to make it stick, but not being able to carry enough speed through the corner. Is going to fall back into the, just waiting for this to update, back into 6th position, and not going to be able to make a move just yet. But Nick Alfred, after being battled a little bit, is starting to look at HOSS in the 19th 4th position, but has to be wary of the 49, also trying to make a pass on him. But right now everything seems all steady, single file throughout the entire field. The 19 running the highest line of the move.
And speaking of your season runner-up, just to point out that your series champion from last year is not here this evening. I believe he chose not to defend his championship. So these drivers definitely have the chance of becoming a new champion. And Michigan being acting like almost like a super speedway in its own. Definitely going to change the way these drivers race.
Battle for the lead. The 52 and 98 are going to be able to clear the 29 going down the front straight. Jeremy Richmond being able to carry a lot more momentum than 52 right now, but being stuck on that outside. Needs to not have the wheels start sliding underneath him and be able to carry as much speed on exit, and being on that high line, he's going to be able to carry extra momentum as we see him be able to clear the 52 going down the back straight. Nick Alfred moving his way up into the 3rd position for now, but the 29 diving it in deep, trying to defend whilst also trying to attack the 52. But Nick Alfred being up on that high groove is going to, or Jeremy Richmond up in the wall, he's going to be able to keep it all under control. We're going 3 wide, they're trying to nearly go 4 wide, but we're going to be able to keep it all going. Nick Alfred moves up into 3rd position, we'll think about going up into the 2nd position. Jeremy Richmond driving it in deep again on the high line, trying to find any sort of grip that he can, but is going to lose out to the inside lane of the 49 Toyota Camry, but being able to carry enough momentum to then pull back out in front of him, and also pull out in front of the 15 of Nick Alfred. Nick Alfred might be wanting to think about getting redemption for last season, coming oh so close to being able to snag the championship, and I believe he lost it by 2 points in the end. So Nick Alfred definitely is going to be hungry to pick up a points playing victory as well as a championship, but up in the lead, the 29 will be looking in his mirror, seeing a lot of very hungry drivers, but Nick Alfred down on the inside is starting to drag race the 52 again, but not being able to carry enough momentum with there being some drafting on the high line. 52 pulls down in front of the 15 in the mid corner, which could have caused Nick Alfred to have to check up slightly, but 52 gets really tight and up into the outside wall slightly. We're going to go 3 wide between the 49, the 98 and the 52. Seems like the drivers have been able to keep it all together. Big checkup by Jeremy Richmond, which meant that the 52 very nearly got into the rear of him, but all drivers able to keep it going and without any contact, so very skilled behind the wheel, but 49 trying to get his way up into the third position. Jeremy Richmond trying to catch his way back up. There's a little bit of contact between the 98 and the 49, but they're able to keep it all going in a straight line. Just seems like the 98 right now has burnt up his tires a bit too much, and it's meant that his grip is very limited. He's not being able to get the run off that he's really desiring, but even still he's running in the fourth position. For tonight that will be mid-pack, but whenever you're so close to the podium you always want to chase it. But speaking of chasing, up in the second position, the number 15 Nick Alford quickly gaining onto the back of the 29. 29 driving in and fairly deep into the corner. Nick Alford running a little bit higher line, getting that nice clean air to push the front nose down, but he gets up into the wall, which isn't the type of pushing in on the car that you want to be doing, but even still able to carry enough momentum around the corner to be able to keep in second place. The 29 did snag the wall going into turn 1, but it doesn't seem to have cost him too much. Trying to run a bit of a higher line, maybe trying to take the line away from Nick Alford, thinking he was going to run a bit higher. With that, or he's just trying to change things up. Maybe the car isn't driving how he wants, so he's just trying to get a better understanding and try different things, but driving it in deep, not as low as he did last time, and taking away the line that Nick Alford ran last time by. But Nick Alford getting very tight and up into the outside wall again.
Very hard to
Jeremy
that wall.
Richmond.
From the past experiences running this track, I see that there's a lot of the car gets tight, especially that's a 98 down below. You use up your tires when you get down low, that low like that. I've always been told to run this off, Michigan and California, to conserve your tires.
Battle on track between the 15 and the 98. They were teammates last season, but Nick Alford on the high line after getting into a wall, maybe benched up the alignment slightly, are going to be drag racing going into turn 1. Jeremy Richmond, having been up near the front basically this entire race, trying to run defensive and aggressive on that inside line, going to drift up in front of the 15 slightly, but not quite enough to be able to cause the 15 check up, and 15 is going to be able to power by very easily with the 98 not being able to carry the amount of speed that he wanted on exit, but still the 98 keeps it down low, trying to clear the 15 on exit, but still not quite enough overlap to be able to safely pull up ahead. But behind in the 52 is going to be looking at the battle ensuing in front and thinking, how can I be able to benefit from this? Where can I change up my lane? But you can see Jeremy Richmond getting very close to the side of Nick Alford, and ultimately Nick seems to have just let Jeremy take it, and maybe they're going to just try single file and go after the 29, who's currently still our race leader. But with being the race leader, yes, you're going to have clean air, you're going to be able to run your own line, but I've never been one to really enjoy being it. I've always preferred being a chaser. I can see what my opponent is doing, see where I can gain speed, what I can do differently compared to them. But Jeremy Richmond being able to run a higher lane than Nick Alford, being able to just power off the corner better, and they're quickly gaining up to the rear bumper of the 29. Currently on lap 18 of 130. I'm going to check over my notes to see when stage 1 caution is. So stage 1 caution will be on lap 29. Stage 2 caution will be on lap 49, and then we go hopefully green flag racing to the end. So we're a little bit past halfway towards the checkered, or stage 1 green white checkered, but Nick Alford trying to run a higher line on Jeremy Richmond. Jeremy Richmond running the low line, trying to see if he can straighten the wheel off of the corner, but not being able to catch up to the 29 as much as he wanted. Nick Alford, after pulling in behind Jeremy, just decides to push him instead of trying to pass him. both drivers have raced with each other, they know how each other drive, and Nick maybe wanting to think, hey, if I work with you here, we might be able to catch up to the 29 and be able to take it for the win and be able to benefit each other. But right now the 29 being able to hold strong, running the middle groove, trying to diamond down, running middle then cutting down on exit, trying to make it as straight as possible. But Jeremy Richmond behind seems to have been able to get a fairly decent run off the corner, but not as good as he probably wants. Coming to lap 21, coming to lap 21 of 29 of stage 1. Been a fairly uneventful race so far. Some drivers getting up into the wall, but we've also seen some fairly good side-by-side racing. Jeremy, with that, having got into the wall earlier, I wonder how much damage has been done to the car, but with these new I say new, we have completed an entire season with the next-gen cars in real life, so can't exactly call them new anymore, but with these next-gen NASCAR stock cars, you're able to bounce off walls a lot easier, but you can only take so much damage before something has to give, so you can bounce off it once or twice, or if you got Chastain, you can just wall ride it. But here around Michigan, it may not be the quickest lane to take, but who knows, we might see some driver take it, but some leagues don't like people wall riding, so be interesting to see how the race develops if maybe someone tries running the wall, seeing if they can gain more momentum right up against it, or where the speed of the track is on the long run. But Ronald Jackson in the 29 being able to keep ahead of the rest of the field, running in the first place. Last lap was a 41.276, whilst Jeremy Richmond, the car behind, a 41.277, so very close lap time, to the point that it was only 0.001 separating them, so near identical, but you need to find another couple attempts to first of all catch up, but then passing, especially around here, not as easy. But Jeremy Richmond driving it in really deep into the corner, not being able to carry as much speed as he wants, but then cutting back down on exit. Should be able to carry a lot more momentum this time, hoping to maybe get some sort of draft bubble from Nick Alford behind. Gonna pop down low. The 29 having to stay up high to avoid coming across the front bumper of the 98. 98 drifting up the track, getting very tight. Nick Alford is going to go to the outside of the 98 and is going to be able to pull alongside, but not being able to clear him just yet. Going to be very tight going into turn 1. Nick Alford taking it a lot more easy than Jeremy on the inside, but still Nick Alford is just able to get on the power a lot sooner, or nearly contact, but both drivers keeping it all going in a straight line. Coming to lap 25, lap 29 being the stage caution, so time's quickly running out to pick up those vital stage points, but Nick Alford trying to get by Jeremy Richmond, while Jeremy Richmond's trying to both defend and trying to catch up to the 29, but Nick running a higher lane, being able to carry a bit more momentum, running up near the wall right now, maybe trying to get some wall draft, is going to clear Jeremy, or they make contact. Jeremy gets out of the throttle and just allows Nick to straighten himself out, and going to be interesting to see how much time was lost compared to the leader in front. Nick Alford is currently up into the second position, but Jeremy does seem to be driving quite aggressive, so will Richmond try make a move towards the end of the stage, or will that be his final real attack on a driver for the stage? Still a long race, you don't want to be tearing your car up just yet, but if I remember correctly, that's right, 0 fast repairs here tonight, so you get into a crash and bend up the wheel, you gotta sit a long time in the pits, and with the small field, chance of cautions aren't exactly the highest compared to if we had a 30 car field, so you really don't want to be spending more time in pit road than you necessarily need to, but where you want to be spending the most time is up in the lead, especially when it comes to that white flag. You don't want to have to be looking in the mirror and changing up your lane. You want to be running exactly where you want to be, but Nick Alford is not going to be wanting to be up in that outside wall, which he has grabbed a couple of times this race so far, but hasn't been enough to cause any issues. Jeremy Richmond taking the opportunity of Nick getting into the outside wall to just compromise his speed, and Jeremy on the low line got very tight underneath Nick and nearly got into him, but getting out of the throttle and probably using a bit of brake just to help slow the car's speed and just be able to get grip back into the front tires allows them both to be going in a straight line. The 29 keeping up in front, but with time quickly running out, I don't think Nick will be able to catch him just yet. Last time by, Nick Alford ran a 41.470, whereas Ronald Jackson in the lead ran a 41.513. So Nick does have a bit more speed, but you got to then use that extra speed plus some to be able to get past. You hear it in motorsport a lot. It's one thing to catch, but it's another thing to pass. To be able to get the speed to then catch up, but then once you get right up to the rear bumper of someone, then you're getting all that dirty air. But it seems like the 29 is struggling with grip really badly. Nick Alford is going to be trying to, or 29 either getting loose or going for a very aggressive block, but it just looked like with how violently the car came down the track that the 29 did just get loose. But that's going to be stage 1 caution. We've reached lap 29. Our stage 1 winner, Ronald Jackson in the 29, being able to hold off Nick Alford at the line.
Wow, Ronald Jackson comes home with your stage 1 winner. We've seen Nick Alford and Jeremy Richmond battling hard for that second place. But in the end, Nick Alford came out with P2. So no damage on that right front. Been hitting that wall a couple times. These drivers will have a chance to come down pit road, get some 4 fresh tires, and they'll do it again. And in the meantime, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we should be back for green flag action on the other side. And we're back with green flag pit stops. We've seen the 52 have a little bit of problems on that pit stop. He had to back up just a little bit, misses box. Jeremy Richmond is out front, followed by the 19. Looks like he has won the race off pit road as we have lead changes and position changes. Nick Alford in the 15 drops all the way back to P6.
It seems like a lot of drivers on pit road were having issues. It's very easy just to slide through your pit box, and with a smaller field you're going to be punished more, but luckily also saying that it's a smaller field, so you're going to have less cars that can potentially pass you. But looking in the YouTube chat right now at Mr. Exiled mid to high is where you want to be running. So getting a bit of a driver's eye perspective from where they say they want to be running. So be interesting to see if maybe if any of the drivers in the broadcast are just listening in and seeing if they can hear what is happening on track, or maybe just cheering for one of these little tips. But I agree with that idea. You run a bit higher up. Yes, you're technically running a longer distance around the track, but you're able to carry a bit more momentum. You're able to keep the wheel more straight than you would compared to when you're hugging the white line. So just being able to save the tires whilst also carrying momentum. It doesn't work at all tracks, but on these bigger tracks like Auto Club and Michigan, it can work out, and it can work out very well. But we saw at the end of stage one, Ronald Jackson really running out of tire grip, so maybe it'll be interesting to see if he changes up his driving style a little bit. Next stage caution will be on lap 49, and then after that we just got some long green flag running. That's where we're going to see green flag pit stop start to unfold. But when you have these long races and you have stage cautions, you look back at how your stage went. You try to figure out, okay, what can I do differently here? Maybe just run a bit higher up earlier on, just lift a little bit early, and just see how can I start saving tires and fuel if needed, for if we're going to need to save a couple points of gallons here and there. Just find every little millisecond of time you can save off of pit road. Every little second that you can save is going to be beneficial in the long run. But going back to green flag racing, Jeremy Richmond getting off to a strong restart, the 19 on the high line, not being able to get off to as strong of a one, but 29 is going to be able to get up the inside and clear the 19 running up high for now. But with Jeremy Richmond controlling the race right now, he then just needs to keep it out of the walls, manage the gap, and just figure out what he can do differently to keep the long run pace going. But the 19 in the Bass Pro Shops 50th anniversary Montruic design, running a little bit higher up than really most of the field besides one or two cars, but able to find extra momentum. You can see the difference between him and the 29, just being able to run a bit more momentum higher up. It's going to be able to stay clear of the 29, but 29 having won stage one is quickly trying to take it to him. It's going to be able to clear up and set himself up into the second position. Running in the fourth position right now, Nick Alford gaining a couple positions from his issues on pit road where he went down to sixth, but scrolling back up to second position of the 29, running very aggressive right now. His tyres are not going to be enjoying this, but Jeremy Richmond seeming to be taking it nice and easy, just preserving his tyres for the long run.
And Mixer Exile in chat is actually the defending champion.
Well, that's good to know. Although it would be interesting to see what he can do out here tonight, especially with how we have had multiple lead changes. Maybe mix things up and make it a 4-car battle, but right now the 19 going up the inside of the 29, keeping it down low, but 29 is going to be able to keep it strong outside and just carry a bit of extra momentum. Jeremy Richmond being able to stay up in the lead where he wants to be. Fairly calm throughout the field right now. I say that as the 19 starts drifting up in front of the 49. 49 looking to have to have gotten out of the throttle slightly to avoid getting into contact, but is going to just take it easy, but then drives it in fairly deep. Not as deep as we've seen from other drivers tonight so far, but enough to be able to carry enough momentum, then drift the car out on exit, but not going to carry enough momentum to start thinking about taking it to the 19. Nick Alford on that outside lane, trying to find any sort of speed he can on the 29. 29 looking to have gotten a fairly decent run, is going to start closing up to the 98's rear bumper. But then once you start getting into the bubble draft, you start using and compacting the air, separating the two cars and pushing the car in front ahead, but generally running slightly higher through the corners, and that's meant that he's just able to keep the wheel straighter and straighten it out of the corner, carry a bit more momentum. The 29 not being able to carry as much as he wants, but it's also going to be putting more load through the tires, which is going to kill it on the long run. Luckily, there is a stage caution in around 11 laps from now. So you don't need to keep the tires together as badly, but any sort of time loss is going to be time loss. But speaking of time loss, the 15 has lost a bit of time to the 19, but the 19 not close enough to start thinking about making a move. Unlike the 49, he's trying to put the nose up the inside of Staden, but not quite close enough, and Staden is going to be able to keep a hold of 4th place and is going to try find some sort of run to take to the 15.
Arius Dudley in chat on Facebook. Seeing your messages. I am looking into this. I do not see any problems on my end. I am actually streaming also on my TV, and I have not had any problems yet.
Nick Alfred currently running on that inside lane. He's got a little bit further back. 19 gets into the wall, but 15 was able to just move up and clear the 29, but 29 trying to start thinking about taking it back to the 15. 15 driving it a little bit deeper than 29, but is going to drift up in the mid corner. Jackson being able to carry that extra speed, not having to lift on exit, is going to claw right up to the rear bumper of Nick Alfred, but going to instead push him, trying to close the gap to Jeremy Richmond, turning it into a 3-car battle for the lead. But Matt Staden is going to want to take it 4-wide battle. Jeremy Richmond and Nick Alfred nearly making contact on the corner exit, but Jeremy running all the way down to that white line, maybe trying to use the banking to then gain a couple miles per hour, but then you've got to pull your way back up the track, and could also just be a case of trying to break the draft. But some drivers like doing it, others don't. But right now Nick Alfred is going to want to be having a draft, trying to close up any sort of time he can to the back of the 98. 29 getting really close to the 15, driving it in real deep, but having to then hesitate on getting on the throttle, waiting for the tires to stick back down onto the racetrack. You can see different lines deciding to form. Jeremy Richmond running the bottom really by himself, not giving anyone any draft, but Nick Alfred keeping it up high, getting a bit of a bubble draft from the 29. Then a little bit further back, Matt Staden trying to find a bit of clean air, running a different lane compared to Jackson in front of him, but seems to be getting some sort of dirty air from Nick Alfred, which he's going to find a bit more of a cleaner groove. Jeremy Richmond's going to cut down in front of that, and it just sends the 19 starting to go up the track with that dirty air suddenly hitting over the car. But as watching the 19 having his own things going on, a little bit further up ahead, the 29 is going to be able to pull up in front of the 15, but gonna have to compromise his exit. 15 is going to pull alongside and is going to have a bit of extra momentum, not having to check up on exit. Going to pull out slightly ahead, so if the caution were to come out, it will go to the 15, but right now 15 has to be careful not to get tied, but the 29 is going to instead get tied running in the dirty air of the 98 and is going to pull behind 15, but only temporarily before taking it back to the outside, and is going to go up near the wall, entering turn 1, keeping it on the outside. Nick Alfred is going to be wary on this, going to get on the throttle a little bit sooner, trying to cut the track as much as he can. He has a bit of momentum for the brief amount of time on exit until the 29 is able to find that magical 6th gear that these next gens have. It used to be magical 5th gear, but with these cars having 5 gears instead of 4 now, it meant that we now go to 6. Quick little calculation, mathematical lesson here on the 10-4 broadcasting channel. Nick Alford not being able to have as much grip as maybe he wants. Going to file in behind the 29, maybe try to think about getting back by, but some drivers that we haven't really spoken much of. Kevin Pace has moved his way up into the 4th position. The number 3 car in the 4th position. Bit confusing if you just see the two numbers side by side. It's like, okay, so is it the 4th car in the 3rd position, or is it the 3rd car in the 4th position? Very confusing, but 19 has dropped behind the 52, who had a bit of issues on pit road, but has made his way up into the 5th position. 19 currently under threat from the 49 behind, who's going to be taking it to the inside, trying to make it stick, and is going to be able to find a bit of grip and is going to be able to clear the 19 on exit. 19 is able to carry a bit of extra momentum, but is he going to be close enough? No, he seemingly just got out of the throttle slowly and just going to run behind Robert Dudley in the 49 Camry. Rafe Hatlin a little bit further back in the 8th position. A bit of a quiet race, just seeing all this unfold. Maybe just not having the comfortability in the car, or not trying to take it up there and get in some sort of issues, but looking back up into the 3rd position, the number 3 car battling with the 29 to try take the final spot on the podium away, just for the stage 2 break to come in a couple laps time. Not quite close enough, but he's going to have another couple of tries, hopefully, as we start quickly ticking down the end of stage number 2. 2 to go before we go back under yellow for the stage 2 break. Jeremy Richmond has really been driving a flawless stage 2. Had no real issues. I haven't really seen him get into the outside wall yet, but hopefully I haven't just jinxed Richmond on that, but with the time quickly ticking down, you're feeling how your tires are doing, and then you start thinking, okay, what sort of lap times do I need to be doing, and where do I position my car? I'm not going to have the joys of a stage caution to break up if you make any mistakes in the final stage, run to check the flag, but coming around right now out of 4, we'll be going on to lap 49. This should be the stage caution. Yellow comes out. Our stage 2 winner, Jeremy Richmond in the 98 Chevrolet.
All right, that's another stage break as the pace truck is catching up to the field. Jeremy Richmond is your stage 2 winner. Now, I want to apologize to Eris Dudley in the chat. I don't think that's on my end. It might be on your end. I did look into it. I'm still not having any problems on my end. Again, I apologize to those that are unable to have the difficulties. It could be on their end. But we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back hopefully for another set of green flag racing. And we are back live here at Michigan. This is your second stage. Your leader for the second stage was Jeremy Richmond. We're going to be coming here to your green flag here shortly, as these drivers just came out of pit lane. And we're looking at, I think Jeremy Richmond had the fastest pit stop there, the 45.17. That's from start to finish. Robert Dudley, 15.13, fastest pit stop in the pit box. What we're going to do is on the restart, we are going to stay silent, and we're going to take you on board with these drivers to try to get live sights and sounds of these drivers getting up to speed.
As you were pulling off some of those times from pit road, Robert Dudley being able to benefit very greatly in the 49 Camry, pulling his way up into the third position, is going to be in prime position to be able to make a move and start thinking about going up the inside of Nick Alford. But with the lights being out on the pace car, coming down the back straight, halfway there to going back to green flag racing. Before we do, Maddox, from seeing what we've seen so far, who's your favorite to take it to be the first car to take the checkered flag at the end of the race?
Wow, this is a tough choice. You put me on the spot. Let's see here. I think I'm going to go with a dark horse. I think either the number 3 or the 49 is going to come up and win this race.
I was liking the idea of the 3. Right now I'm thinking either Kevin Haas or Nick Alford, but with pace car pulling off, we're going to now let you listen to the sounds of these next gen cars going on a restart at Michigan International Motor Speedway. And we are back being with the live commentary. Also, we were just listening on board with how the drivers are getting around this track. The 49 and the 29 were able to get ahead of Jeremy Richmond, but whilst they were going down in the Twitch chat, Mr. Exiled saying how this is where Nick Alford and Richmond show off. They wouldn't be hard to pass now as well. The 49 and 29 must have seen that and was like, okay, let's get it by him now whilst we still can, and hopefully try just command it up in the first 2 positions. But Jeremy Richmond maybe just taking it easy on the start of this restart. Knows he's got one of the pace advantages on the field, but that's if he can keep it all together. But speaking of pace advantages, it seems like the 29 currently running in the second position look to be wanting to go for the win. Still plenty to go left in this race. We're not quite at the halfway mark, but is going to go to the inside of the 49. He's got to drift up in front in the mid corner if he wants to stop the 49 from really being able to capitalize on a momentum run, but 49 is going to take it to the inside, not quite alongside yet, but is going to get the bumper there. 29 now has to give him space, going to run up on quite a high groove. Does he decide to cut down, trying to use the banking and carry extra momentum? No, he decides to keep this nice steady wheel. 49 keeping it down low, not getting tight underneath him. 29 running up near the wall, very close to getting into it slightly, but the 49 being on quite a nice little run, one for the defending, but you leave yourself compromised from someone running up high and carrying momentum. 49 carrying, you can see, is able to drive it in a little bit deeper, but then just loses out going down the back straight and just loses too much momentum, but then comes and fights back going into turn 3 and 4. Starts drifting up the track. He's got to be careful not to cut across the front nose of the 29, but they're able to keep it all going. 29 carrying a bit of extra momentum and going full to the outside of the 49. All this is doing is killing both their tires. They might be better off just pulling in single file and just running, but as racing drivers, we don't want to just ride, we want to go racing. But looking a little bit further back, whilst all that is going on for the lead, a little bit further behind from Jeremy Richmond and Nick Alfred, Matt Stadden is really being the lead cutter, want to take it to another driver. They're going to go 3 wide in for turn 4. Nick Alfred right up high near the wall, Matt Stadden in that inside. Both then, it's been very close between these 3 drivers. Speaking of the 3 to 3, is going to drive it in deep. So there's contact between the 19 and the 15. The 18 gets into the back of the 19 and unsettles him slowly, but by some miracle, all drivers keep it going in a straight line. Biggest person to lose out from that, Rick Hatlin in the 18, who was ahead of a couple of cars, but now runs in the last position, but quickly fires it up the inside of last week's winner Paul Beganek and should be able to get past him going into turn 1, but going back to 3 wide between the 52, 3 and the 19. Paul Beganek nearly getting into the back of 18, but no contact just yet. The 3 trying to work the second groove in the track, trying to find any form of grip. The 52 having to fall back and wave the white flag in defeat, but the 3 is trying to now make a move on the 19 now. 19 running a little bit higher up the track before getting really tight. The 3 seems to have just better tyre condition right now and is going to be able to pull out half the car width ahead, but not quite enough to pull up in front of the 19. We're quickly approaching the halfway mark in this race. 130 laps on a 2-mile track. Put those things together and you have a 260-mile race here at Michigan International Speedway. It's a track that some drivers like, some also really don't like, and especially after the reconfiguration back nearly half a decade ago now. That's kind of scary when you think about it, how quickly time has started to pass by. With the 3 running a little bit higher up, not being able to carry as much momentum as probably he wants. You can see him running a little bit higher than the 19, but the 19 is going to start getting tight on exit. Able to keep it all under control though, going to keep running in the 5th position. Looking back up into our 1st position, currently under threat from the 29. 29 taking it to the inside, but having to then do a lot of throttle play just to not drift up into the 49. Able to keep it going side by side, but 49 on a higher lane. I've said this many times this broadcast already, but I'm going to keep saying it. carrying a little bit of extra momentum, but the 29 just driving in a lot deeper going into 1 and 2. Going to need a pull up in front, but the 49 is going to cut back underneath, going down the back straight away. The 49 has been able to pull alongside, but then he's got to be the one to drive in deep and make sure that the front tires let you do it. Not quite far enough ahead to be able to drift up in front. Now he is, if he really wants to, but leaves the car's length on the high line for if the 29 was carrying enough speed. Could have taken it, but not quite enough. So very heads up between really the entire field here tonight on there not being any wrecks despite us having very close racing and a bit of contact. Looking a little bit further back for the battle for 6th position, 19 currently under first from the 52 to 52 running down low. Seeming to have really good tyre wear right now, is going to then put it up the inside of the 3 on exit, but 19's going to get to the rear bumper of the 3 and start pushing him down the front straightaway. He's going to be able to clear the 52, but 19 still not clear. He's going to have to try and make enough momentum on a higher lane. Close, but just seeming to not have the tyre wear that he needs right now. It's going to have to fall in behind the 52, but just behind him needs to start worrying about the 18 who will already go up to a very good run off the corner a bit earlier on in this final push to the checker. Did get into a bit of contact and had to roll out of the throttle, but seeming to have fairly good grip for what it is. But we are now past the halfway mark. We're going to go step aside for just a second as we're going to go back under commercial break.
We're back live here in race number 2 for your HOSS Sim Series Cup Series at Michigan. This is the Veterans Night. So we'll go on board here. In second place, Ronald Jackson. He's looking in his rearview mirror. He sees the leaders. Actually, Jamie Richmond and Nick Offord, they're coming fast. You seen there before we went to commercial break that Ronald Jackson is trying to push the 49. Excuse me, push the 49 of Robert Dudley. Trying to tell him, hey, let's go. We want to keep the gap. This gap is closing. Third place. Jeremy Richmond and Offord, teammates. And they were working together to catch these 2 leaders. There of the bunker sponsorship there. Jeremy Richmond there at the U.S. Navy sponsorship. Robert Dudley Mercury sponsorship. Yes, Mercury Post, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, that is. Looks like he's running a little bit of a tribute on that front hood in memory of Penny Dudley. While when they check the back towards the middle of the pack here, 3, 52 or 56. It's like the 19 is 7th, 18 is an 8th, and I believe your winner from last week, Paul, is a P8. The U.S. Army. I would say it's almost a throwback, but it's been a while since we've seen the U.S. Army, especially I think it was the 01 paint scheme. Speaking of 01, we're going to check on the leaders here. First place, the 49 to 29. Like Jeremy Richmond, he has caught the 29 and he is passing. So he wants to push it 3 wide, going into 1. Definitely not a good sign. 29 looks like he got a little bit tight on the high side, which allows that 98 to come and take the inside. This battle was first and second, now has opened up to first to fourth, 5th and 6th. They're like, we want to play too. And it looks like the 8 has come down pit road for service. 19 coming down pit road for service. I had totally forgot about pit stops. We'll be cycling through pit stops here shortly. Check out your pit strategy here. It's like 24 laps. It's like 30 laps is the most they've went so far. So we might be looking at another 5 laps or so before drivers start coming down the road. So the last service of the evening, lap 75 of 130. This is the 10-4 Broadcasting Sports Network.
Massive battle going on for the final couple places on the podium. Nick Alford trying to hold on to second position, but the 49 going down low, trying to take it away, but then on the high line, currently under threat from the 29 of Ronald Jackson. Our stage 1 winner of tonight, but seemingly may have blinked out for a second. I believe back now. Technical issues are not fun to deal with, especially on RS, and it's always fun when you blink out, but when you're as close as you are seeing right now, it's even funner. But Nick Alford currently trying to battle Jeremy Richmond for the race lead, whilst there's a battle going on for the final position on the podium. Nick Alford just taking it a lot more easy than really I've seen anyone else take going into turns. Jeremy Richmond trying to maximize as much as he can really throughout the entire corner, but when you drive in so deep, you have to be careful not to overheat the tires and put too much strain through them. That's how you can burn them off quicker, and on a longer race like this, it's very easy to do, and then you start ticking away time that you lose, and then you might decide to come in pit early. So pit strategy will be very interesting as we come on to lap 78 of 130. Jeremy Richmond still our race leader after taking a bit of a break on this final stage restart, just being able to take it easy, let the tires come in. 29 we saw running up near the front and leading a couple of laps, currently falls into the third position, whilst the person who had led multiple laps as well, the 49 of Robert Dudley, currently running in the fourth position. Nick Alford running low.
And looks like we're getting word from chat. Eris Dudley has reported that Penny Dudley is Robert's sister, and I believe she passed away in 2017 from ALS. So that is a tribute that he is running on his hood. I believe we have some action coming down there.
Nick Alford still out on track, but it does seem like Jeremy Richmond has brought his 98 Chevrolet into pit road. It's got to be careful not to slide through pits, but it's going to take it nice and easy. 29 also follows in, as well as the 52. 52 slides through pit box again, so that's going to be a bit of time lost from him, but Nick Alford seems like he's going to be pitting this time by. Yes, he is. Got to be careful to rest all the speed you can. Get it slowed down to 50 miles per hour or 55 miles per hour for pit road speed limit. You can go over it a little bit as you pass through some of the timing lines, but you go through too many and you're going too fast, you're going to get a penalty, and that's not what you want. But Nick Alford has been able to get rid of that extra speed that he needs. Going to pull into his pit box nice and easy. So it seems like a very clean stop right now. Looks like it's going to be 4 tires. Yep, there goes the left sides. So it's going to be 4 tires for the 15 of Nick Alford. Got to get his way back out there. Jeremy Richmond should relinquish the lead, but I believe that's the 49 of Dudley that just got a little bit squirrely coming into pit road, but was able to keep it going all in a straight line. With it being quite a long front straight, gotta be careful not to carry too much speed, and you can see what has happened with the 49. Just locked up slightly, and it's just meant that he's missed the pit box ever so slightly. That didn't look like he took any tires. That's very interesting that he wouldn't have taken tires. I would have thought, with the amount of tire wear that was seen, that tires would be a given, but whatever the case, Robert Dudley has come back out on track and will be on old tires. But looking a little bit further up, Jeremy Richmond on those new tires, currently running up in the second position. Our current race leader is Dudley, so according to my racing, which has not updated, Dudley's going to drop down into the 6th position even with taking no tires, so quite a costly stop for Dudley in the 49, but Jeremy Richmond running up in the 3rd position, Kevin Haas in the 2nd, Ronald Jackson, who came in with Nick Alford, currently up in the 1st position. Which, if my memory serves me correct, Jackson actually came in behind Alfred, so Alfred must have had some sort of issue. I'll see if I can find what happened.
Looks like Alfred's pissed off. This 14.48. Richmond 14.69. And Ronald was 15.
Okay, I know what I did wrong. I just got the 98 and the 15 confused in the pit stop. So Nick Alfred being out on those old tires for a little bit longer. Yes, you're stretching them out and making other set of tires that you're going to be coming onto less used, but with the amount of time lost, it's meant that the 29 has been able to get an undercut, but came in behind Jeremy Richmond, so some sort of issue. You can see the 49 coming back into pit road, so either serving a penalty or has come in, probably unchecked his tyres earlier and forgot to recheck them just in case, but real unfortunate to see him come in. Yep, there it is. Right tyres are going to be coming off. See it drop back onto the ground and should see the left side. Yep, there it is. 4 tyres for the 49, so real unfortunate for the 49 Mercury Toyota Camry, which looks like a Valvoline car. I thought it was a Valvoline car, but I've been mistaken. But a bit of a blinking up in front, but Jackson in the 29, we saw him win stage number 1 earlier this race, and finding his way back up to the lead has kind of been a bit of a dark horse. I believe this is my first time actually seeing him on track, as I wasn't here last week for the season opener. Seems to have broken away from Jeremy Richmond and HOSS behind, but when you're in front, you gotta then have the maturity not to burn up your tires. I know I've cost myself a lot of time in the race just from driving too aggressive too early on and just killing the tires early in the run and then having to deal with it for the entire rest of the run. But coming around 3 and 4 right now, next time by we'll be going on to lap 88 of 130. Race has actually been a lot quicker than I first expected. One thing you have to take in consideration with these smaller fields is less going on, which can work in your favor sometimes when you want to carry good points and have less worry about getting in a wreck. A small field is exactly what you want, but it can also mean that it can be a little bit easy, and then when you start getting strung out, then your mind starts getting a bit of mental fatigue when you're just running lap after lap. And on road courses it can work because there's multiple things going on, but on ovals there's a little bit less going on, but still got to keep the car underneath you. But luckily, just besides getting a little bit tight, it doesn't seem like the car is that unstable. Last week's winner, Paul Bojanic, in the 7th position right now. Doesn't seem to be running too bad of a race. Saw him running at the back early on, but now up in the 7th position and not too far away from Brad Patlin in front. So good work to him for just keeping it in. But Robert Dudley, besides there being a caution, he's currently on lap 88 whilst the leaders are on lap 89. So currently running a lap down, but we get a caution and then get the lucky dog. You get waved back around and then suddenly who knows what will happen. But one driver that you had thought was going to win, Maddox, but unfortunately there has been a bit of issues. But one driver that hasn't had any issues, or at least besides kissing the wall, which just means that you're getting every little inch out of the car, and now has caught up to the back of the 29, Jeremy Richmond, in the 2nd position after coming down pit road. Relinquished that lead and wanting it back, trying to catch up to the rear bumper of the 29 of Jackson. Running a bit higher up, trying to find a bit of extra momentum, but not going to be able to find it this time yet. Jackson running up on the high line, not going to allow Richmond to run up high either. Richmond's going to dive it down lows, should be able to drift up the track and be able to cut off Jackson, but deciding to just keep it easy, and he's going to clear him anyway, be able to carry enough momentum on exit, as Jackson seems to have burnt up his tyres. But with at least one more pit stop needing to be done, still anything can happen. We saw what had happened with the 49 was running up near the front earlier on in this race, but now is the only car to be a lap down, so who knows what will happen. On lap 92 of 130, still plenty left to go in this race, but how close are we getting to that final pit stop window? Only the drivers really know. Battle for the third position. Nick Alfred's going to be able to move his way up into third position, taking it away from Kevin Haas in the free car. Nick Alfred running a little bit longer than everyone else on that first green flag pit stop, but having enough grip because of that to be able to easily get by the free car, and is now going to be trying to chase down the 29 and then Jeremy Richmond. So still a long way to go, but you can never just start thinking that it's an easy win yet. 29 still having blinking issues out on track, but being around no one right now is meaning that there is no real risk with it. But Nick Alfred just trying to catch up, but you may have the pace now, but if you go too hard, you're not going to have it for the long run. So just having the maturity just to keep it all working in a nice working window will go a long way. But luckily, Alfred being the runner-up to last season's championship means that he's been very consistent, especially with him not winning a single points-playing race besides for the All-Stars race at Atlanta Superspeedway. So it's unfortunate, but with him having the consistency he does, I'm sure we'll see him to finally break into victory lane here tonight, or maybe not tonight, but sometime this season. And who knows, maybe if it continues like last season, hopefully this time he might be able to bring home the trophy this time, unlike last season where he lost it by a couple of points, which, having lost the championship by 1 point, it's not a nice feeling. But this is this season now, this is season 4 of the High Octane Sim Series. You need to worry about just getting through the races now and don't think about the end of the season yet. Looking back at the 52 currently on screen right now, hasn't had the easiest race, especially when it comes to pit stops. He's slid through his box multiple times and just been quite sloppy under the pit stops, but running in the 5th position, still a top 5, so can take that away. Jeremy Richmond has moved his way up into the lead, so it'll be interesting to see if maybe the 29 starts thinking about bringing it into pit road soon. But right now just keeping it out on track, going to drift up to the outside wall, clearly not thinking it's time to make the final pit stop yet. Not sure on how long a fuel run is here, but you'll be watching that fuel ticker tick down, and then you're also going to be keeping an eye. How many laps do I have left? We know these drivers can make it at least 30 laps, so currently 32, 33 laps left in the race. There is at least one pit stop left to be made, but we're basically inside that pit window. Well, now with time being so limited now. You don't want to be sliding through. You want to get into your pit box as soon as you can. Don't waste any time, because now with the amount of time you have left, you can't afford to do it. You could have done it at the start of the race, especially with the stage cautions, but now with the field being so spread out, unless someone bounces off the wall and spin on the track, I highly doubt we're going to really get a caution, especially with the awareness that the drivers have had with racing around each other. So I wouldn't want to be making any mistakes, but maybe someone might decide rolling the dice and pitting a little bit earlier, try to use new tires and undercut a couple of people. Coming out for, we're going to be coming to go onto lap 100. Jeremy Richmond, who has really been a bit more of the class of the field, but hasn't had it easy. He's had to work to make his way up into the lead, but with us officially being in the confirmed pit window, one pit stop left to go. When do drivers start making it? Only they know. But with
100 laps into this race, we're looking at about 30 laps to go. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and at the other side, we'll be seeing green flag pit stops. Alright, we are back here live at Michigan International Super Speedway. I call it a Super Speedway. But looks like we got some drivers coming down pit road. The 19 is down pit road. He is one lap down at the moment. Let's see. Looks like Jeremy Richmond is still your race leader, followed by Ronald Jackson, Nick Offord, Kevin, I apologize if I butcher your last name, but I think it's Kevin Hassine, Mark Morton, Robert Dudley, Paul Bajinek, Rafi Haitlin, and Matt Stanton to round out your field rundown.
Matt Staten has brought it into pit road and has gotten out of his car. His night does appear to be done, so real unfortunate for the 19 Toyota, but hopefully we can see him rebound and come back out here tonight or next week. But right now on track, green flag pit stop should be starting to happen fairly soon. Nick Alford has made his way up into the second position, so tyres clearly working out very well for him. With it working out so well, does he keep on these sets of tyres? He has the pace, but does he have more pace than Jeremy Richmond? Jeremy Richmond's last lap was a 41.373, whilst Nick Alford was a 41.295, so Nick may need to try undercutting, maybe coming into the pits this time by, but does Jeremy then counter that, see that Nick has got the pace and decide to bring it in now? 25 laps left in the race, so the tires aren't going to be completely destroyed like they have been for most of this race. Last time by, Jeremy Richmond ran a 41.339. Nick Alford stays on track and runs a 41.361, so Nick only slightly marginally quicker at last time by, but do drivers start thinking about making their green flag pit stops? The 29 has brought it into pit road. Don't slide through your pit box. He does not. Gets it all pulled up, as well as I believe that's the 3 that also came in.
That is correct. The 3 and the 29 are the ones down pit road. Ooh, this 3 had a 16.87. Looks like the 29 had a 14.65, so faster pit stop. Looks like we got second and third place coming down pit road.
Jeremy Richmond would have seen Nick Alford pull in this time by, so we should see Richmond pull it into pit road this time also, but also means he's not going to need to contend with lap traffic just yet. Right now he's keeping it up high, and he's going to be bringing it down into pit road, so our leader brings it down into pit road, hopefully is able to get it loaded up in time. Then you start sitting on 51 miles per hour for quite a long majority of the track. It feels like an eternity, but it's been a very good race for Richmond so far. Comes back into the pits as the leader, but now you have to not slide through the pit box. You know Nick Alford is going to be quicker for the shorter time, but it's a very tidy entry into pit box. Right tires go up. Does anyone maybe potentially try right tires only? Nope, there's 4 tires for the 98, so that's going to be dropped and he's going to be able to go back out into traffic. Gotta watch where the 29 and the 15 come out. 29 pitting the soonest of all of them. Running up high, then gonna be cutting down. Is he going to get all the way down to the yellow line? Not quite, but the 29 will become your race leader once again as the 98 has to regain speed, but Nick Alford a little bit further back, and maybe probably a thought that he would have been coming in and pitting sooner than Richmond, but yet still keeping quite a similar gap, so maybe something happened with Nick that meant that he lost a bit of time, and because of that he's going to be back in the 3rd position. As it stands, our stage 1 winner, the 29 of Ronald Jackson, currently in the lead, followed by our stage 2 winner, Jeremy Richmond, in the 2nd position. So very strong race by these 2 drivers, but Nick Alford is going to be wanting to catch up. Not a lot of time left in this race. There'll be 21 laps at the line, so time is quickly disappearing. And with how far Nick needs to gain, he has to find a lot of pace left in that vehicle. Currently running 3.5 seconds behind the leader, so actually lost a bit of time on that last lap as well, so Nick might be in a bit of trouble and probably won't be able to catch unless these 2 start really getting into each other with battles and tire wear comes into effect. But time quickly ticking down. We're going to step away for one more final commercial break of this broadcast, and we'll see you back for the final big run into the checkered flag.
we're back here with 18 laps to go at the line. Ronald Jackson is your race leader, followed by Jeremy Richmond. I'm going to pull up your last lap times. You can see 39.53. By Jeremy Richmond, he is catching the 29. He's also got that draft, so he's like, here, kitty, kitty, behind the wheel.
Last time by the 29 then at 39.927, but it's not going to matter now because Jeremy Richmond is going to be 4/10 quicker the last time by. This time he has been able to get his way by and is going to run a second quicker, so Jeremy Richmond back up into the race lead and should be able to start pulling away fairly comfortably on Ronald Jackson. Last time by, Jeremy Richmond was even 0.1 quicker than Nick Alford, so Alford really needs to try find something, or maybe he just can. In that case, Jeremy Richmond should be able to just coast and take it nice and easy to the checkered flag, but 15 laps left to go here in the High Octane Sim Series, brought to you by Admin Box live on 10-4 Broadcasting. Robert Dudley brings it back into the pit road and just starts leaving now, so good to see that even after his issues he's still not given up. Right now is on the lead lap, but will most likely go back down a lap once Jeremy Richmond comes back around. Actually no, he should be good to finish, but yep, he's a lap down now. Jeremy Richmond really making it look easy out here, but hasn't been as easy as it may appear. You can see how many laps he's led, but earlier on with how he was having to battle the likes of Nick Alford, Dudley, and Jackson, at one point we even thought that maybe he might need to start fighting with Kevin, but right now has been able to just keep it all out of trouble. Was bouncing off the wall slightly early on, but clearly hasn't damaged the car, and he's been able to find his way into a nice steady rhythm, and he's just been able to keep extending a gap. Last lap was a 40.176, whilst Nick Alford was a 40.698, so quite a big difference between Jeremy Richmond and really the rest of the field. So Richmond last time by at the line had pulled out to a 2.3 second advantage over Jackson, whilst also having nearly a 4-second advantage over Nick Alford. So lap 118 of 130, time quickly running out. Richmond doesn't really need to try anything special, just needs to take a couple of breaths. If the heart rate's a bit high, just find yourself calm, know he has control of this race. But it'd be very easy to just push a bit too hard, get into the outside wall, and then you're spinning down the track. So that's the one thing that he just doesn't need to do. But if he can avoid doing that one crucial mistake, he should be able to pull home and get the win here tonight.
We'll bring this up since Jeremy Richmond took the lead. The 29 has been fading back. And I mean fading. Nick Alford is in his sights.
So whilst we're talking about these two battling, really looks like Jackson just has no grip right now, but looking on his right side, he has seemed to have eaten the wall quite aggressively. So where he's done that, I don't actually know. I believe it's on lap 117 coming to 118, just ran a little bit wide out of four and just ate the wall, but wonder if that's going to be hurting the performance of the car or not. But either way, it's allowed Nick Alford to be able to just elevate himself up into the second position. Last time by was a 41.1, whilst our current race leader Jeremy Richmond was 2/10 quicker than that, so Richmond continuing to extend the gap over the rest of the field. We have been racing for an hour and 30 minutes so far. Still a bit to go, 10 laps left in the race, so it's not quite over yet, but with the track being a bit more of a bigger track, it's meant that drivers have been able to take a bit of a break on the straightaways, but I found that with these big long straightaways, it's easy to just start dowsing off if sometimes needed. So when come around to interviews, it'll be interesting just to ask a couple of drivers how they were really feeling towards the end of the race, with it being quite done out towards the end, unfortunately. Just if they were starting to feel any form of fatigue, especially running on a track where it's very easy for you to just push a little bit too hard and get up into the outside wall, but then earlier in the race when we were battling very hard, maybe that could have worn down some drivers, who knows, but on to lap 122, laps are quickly ticking away, we're within 10 to go now. Unless Jeremy Richmond makes some sort of issue, I'd say the victory is pretty much said and done now. Ray Patman has brought it down into pit road, has been sitting still for quite a long while and is going to take it back to the garage, so the 18 Chevrolet is done for the night. Real unfortunate to see him have to pull off maybe some sort of technical gremlin, but that does mean that Robert Dudley will be moved up into the 6th position now. Granted, yes, he is 1 lap down, but still into 6th position. And whilst all this is going on, Jeremy Richmond continues to extend his gap over the rest of the field. Really just having the tyres to be able to do so, and we saw early on in the first stage he had a bit of issues with tyre wear, so maybe learned something from that and just decided to take a step back and just take it a little bit easier than he did last time, but there has been a change for 3rd position. The number 3, Kevin Hayes, has moved his way up into the final place on the podium. His last time by was a 41.266, while 2nd place is Nick Alford, ran a 41.386, so a bit more pace than Nick right now, but does he have the time to be able to close it? He has to close about 2.2 seconds gap according to my timing from the last time by, and still have a bit of tyre wear issues. I can see that he had to get out of the throttle quite a bit, but it's taking it easy. But for the most part, this race has been very clean compared to what some people may expect for a track like this. But with the High Octane Sim Series, you expect good racing, and good racing is what we got here tonight. Robert Dudley on your tyres down the 3 was able to just easily clear his way by. Unfortunately, still a lap down, but good see him still out here running, even if it's not exactly where he would want. But 5 laps left to go in this 260-mile race. Only 10 miles left. Well, at this time it's really about 9 miles left in the race, so as things tick down, drivers start to normally would start thinking if they can maybe start catching, but in the case of Nick Alford, he might be better off just settling with the 2nd place and just riding and hope that Kevin doesn't have enough pace to catch up. This last time by, Nick Alford ran a 41.354, whilst in the 3rd position, Kevin ran a 41.329, so basically the same lap, so Kevin a little bit quicker, but not enough to really be able to challenge Nick towards the end in the final couple laps, unfortunately. Next week, the High Octane Sim Series will be off to Charlotte for a night race, so that's going to be a race you don't want to miss. I happened to be in a Charlotte night race with these next gens just a couple days ago, and it was very, very good to watch, and should be very interesting to see if hopefully we can have a bit of a higher turnout, see what sort of racing the High Octane Sim Series can produce. But with that being said, Jeremy Richmond is going to come out of the corner. 2 laps left to go here at Michigan International Speedway. Not much more he has to really do. He's been able to pull out to a 5.5 second gap on his nearest rival of Nick Alford. Jeremy, in the warm-up on a restart practice, spun his tyres up and spun into the grass, but come here tonight for the actual race has been very dominant. Yes, he has had to work for it, which hasn't made it as dominant maybe as he might have wanted, but been able to keep him on his toes. One more time around, white flag here in the High Octane Sim Series, live on 10-4 Broadcasting, or if you're watching this as a VOD, welcome, thank you for tuning in and watching it all this way. But Jeremy Richmond coming out of 2 for the final time. Even if there's a crash and a car is stopped on track, there will not be a caution, but now he has the gap. He just needs to get around turn 3 and 4 without any issues. He has basically a 6-second gap. He's been able to claw his way out of trouble and bounced off the walls a couple of times, but out of 4, Jeremy Richmond will be race number 2 High Octane Sim Series winner in the 98 here tonight at Michigan.
What an awesome
A little bit
performance.
further back, Nick Alford is going to make his way and finish in the 2nd position. Then followed by, in 3rd place, the number 3 of Kevin Haas. So very good run to come from 7th place on the grid here tonight. So that's the podium. Our finishes in order. Jeremy Richmond finishes in the lead. Nick Alford 2nd. Kevin Haas in 3rd. Ronald Jackson 4th. Unfortunately wasn't able to claw his way into the podium, but the stage 1 victory, so that's going to be a nice little bonus couple points. 52 of Mark Morton in the 5th position. The 49 of Robert Dudley had a couple issues on pit road earlier on, and fortunately is going to be the first car lap down, but still clawed home the 6th place. Last week's winner, Paul Bojanic in the 7th, who finishes 2 laps down, and then first of our DNF drivers, Rafe Hatlin finishes 8th, and Matt Staden in the 9th position.
And that was your race recap of the night with Jeremy Richmond, Nick Alford, and Kevin Haas, I believe. Checking out your top 3 finishers. We'll be interviewing them here very shortly. All right. Looks like we're going to be talking to your second place winner, runner up, actually. We are looking for your third place and Kevin on Discord. We do not see him. He might join very shortly. We're going to move up. Nick offered. Nick, this is Mike and Kynan in a booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I got you.
What do you think of the race overall?
The race was fun. It's one of my favorite tracks. It's 100% a conserving track. You definitely have to watch your tires and try to save fuel as much as possible. But we had a good car. Good car all night. Once the tires kind of get worn in, I could pretty much put the car wherever I wanted to. It felt great. So yeah, it was a good race.
Did you think the race got too spread out too early? We've seen that you and Jeremy were battling hard there at the beginning of the stage. I believe it was you and Ronald also battling hard there towards the middle of the stage. What actually was the benefit of the track? Did the track change at all throughout the whole run?
So the track didn't really change too much. It really came down to how hard you pushed your car on the start of the run. If you push too hard, you got that right front too hot. You're not going to be there for the long run. So me and Jeremy were working together, talking the whole time about conserving, calling out lap times and stuff like that, trying to figure out what was a good average to aim for lap times to still be able to catch up to whoever got by us on the starts. And I think it definitely worked out well. So happy for Jeremy for taking a win. I'm happy with P2. On to Charlotte.
Definitely. I know Kevin is not available on Discord, so it looks like you and Jeremy the only two that we will be interviewing here this evening.
Sounds good.
Any notes or news information leading into Charlotte next week?
There's nothing really new coming. Everything that was changed during the off season has been put in place. We're trying to get some more drivers in. That way we get bigger fields. I really enjoy racing this group of guys that we have this season. Everybody's super clean, super competitive. It's great. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, nothing new, I don't think, coming into Charlotte.
All right, we'll let you go back and celebrate with your team on that P2 finish. And we'll see you next week.
Yes, sir. Alrighty.
All right, that was Nick Offord, your P2 runner-up to your race winner. Jeremy Richmond will be here shortly. Just give it another minute or so to see if Kevin will be joining us. All right, doesn't look like Kevin will be joining, so we're going to be bringing up your race winner here.
Hey,
Cheers.
Jeremy Richmond, Cannon Jones up in the booth. Do you have a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
So, first of all, how does it feel to second race of the season to be able to bring it home into victory lane for JKR Motorsports?
Feels good. The plate tracks are hit or miss. it feels like I either run up front on those or I get wrecked out, which I guess last week was my turn to get wrecked out. So it was nice to come in here and the second track of the season to be my favorite track on iRacing. Kind of pled into, fell right into place with my wheelhouse.
Well, it certainly was able to work out well. But speaking of wheels, earlier we saw you kind of back away on restarts, but then towards the longest stints where we'll get green flag pit stops, we saw you then start clawing your way back through. Was that really the plan, just to let the cars in front go battle and burn up their stuff, and then you come back in the end?
Yeah, so in practice, I ran a decent amount, and I already kind of knew I run in here before with the next gen, or pretty much any car really. Like you can turn this track into a plate track, but eventually it's gonna eat your tires up. So I didn't really back down and just let them go burn their stuff up. I don't necessarily think they burned it up all that much. I just wanted to try to run a consistent pace. So I didn't really, bust out the hot laps during the race, but I was way consistent. Actually, just looking at my lap times for the race right now, like I think I was really consistent the whole race.
So, with you saying that, would you say that you had a bit of confidence coming into tonight?
I did for how I could drive the track. I didn't think I was gonna win the race. I wasn't necessarily planning on thinking I was going to win the race, and I honestly am surprised I won by almost 6 seconds or something, or whatever I won it by. That's surprising, honestly. So I need to take some of my own advice on these other racetracks and maybe just save tires.
I mean, tire saving can always work out, but it doesn't matter if you are able to win by 6 seconds or 0.6 for a second. It just matters that you managed to get up into victory lane. But next week, going into Charlotte, what's your expectations for a night race?
Charlotte's going to be fun. It's going to be another track where you can bust off some hot laps. But this next gen car, you'll eat some tires up. Right front will get destroyed if you decide to do that route next week. So I'll be looking to save tires again.
Well, hopefully we can talk to you here in Victory Lane for 2 weeks in a row. But before you let you get on your merry way and go celebrate with the team, do you have anyone that you'd like to thank for helping you get out here and winning tonight?
Yeah, Max Graphics for the paint scheme. Thanks to the military. We couldn't do any of this without the military support. We have a lot of drivers in here that are veterans, myself included. So I just want to shout out to the veterans and my team painter for putting my first command in the U.S. Navy on my car so I could support them tonight. And my wife, as always, man, for letting me do this stuff. She's really awesome.
Well, with that, we'll let you get on your way. Congratulations for bringing home the first place tonight, and good luck next week.
Yeah, appreciate it. You guys do a great job. See y'all next week.
And that was the voice of your race winner, Jeremy Richmond. And give another quick look up and down Discord.
I do not reckon he's going to be here, unfortunately.
Looks like Kevin is not going to be here for our third place interview. So on that note, we're going to wrap things up. For myself, Mike Maddox, and Kynan in the booth, I want to give him a shout out for joining us this evening. We'll be back here next week. Same time, same channel. But this time, we'll be at Charlotte. Your race winner,